Listen, man, I'm your father. I'm not coming back with the mail. Okay, everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the Games Cage. Today, and only today, we are here. That's right, to talk about Sonic Adventure, right? The future, right? What is going down with that sub-series and how Frontiers, I genuinely believe, is going to pave the way for it. And for a lot of reasons, you know, obviously, look, we all want Adventure, right? We all want Adventure to come back. We all love Sonic Adventure. But, right, it's you know, it's been that question. Izuka's been asked this question time and time again about re-exploring the Adventures. But there's something about the way he's talking about it nowadays that really feels like it's what's going to be next after this Frontiers saga. You know, obviously they've said the Frontiers formula is what they want to stick with for the next, you know, 10 years or so. So I feel like, you know, we might get a trilogy of whatever the front, like open zone style, I guess, before we go somewhere else. But let's take a look at why I'm saying what I'm saying, right? First of all, right, interview one that we could talk about. This is during the IGN Summer Games Fest, right? I've mentioned this in previous interviews, but I'd like to continue the Sonic Adventure series. Sonic Adventure also contains smaller spaces known as the adventure fields. I think if we've used what we learned with those in this game as well. I haven't thought about my next game yet, but I personally think it'd be nice if we could use what we learned with this game in Sonic Adventure, right? First of all, I mean, that alone is a pretty fair statement because you look at Sonic Frontiers, and it definitely has the DNA of adventure, right? Where, like, you know, you have these open areas you go to, and you use those open areas to go to levels, right? Such as cyberspace levels, or back then what would be, you know, the regular adventure levels. Now, obviously, in this game, the hub, the adventure field, open zone, whatever you want to call it, what's it called, is the showcase. You know, that's where you have this whole combat set. That's where you're solving puzzles. It's sort of like what an expansion of the original Sonic Adventure could be like, you know, or sort of felt like back in the day. Because again, it's Sonic Adventure, those areas are pretty small. They just sort of seemed bigger than they were, you know, because we were younger back then, or open worlds weren't really as big. But where that similarity comes into play, right, is over here. So if I can go find this, what I want to say, oh, here it is, right? That obviously they've been asking for, but they definitely think of wanting to remake Adventure at some point, right? You know, it was the first high-speed 3D action game that also featured what's called a scenario highlight with 6 different stories, the 8 life child, 6 unique styles of gameplay. It is a unique game offering even after 20 years after its release. At the time, it wasn't only just solitary software release, it was the title to bring people to the Dreamcast, and we were given the budget to make something to showcase the hardware. However, it was the very first 3D game that we worked on, and looking at it now, I can see the rough edges it has, which really makes me want to remake it again. Right, like I said, we live in an era, well, I don't know if I said this, but yeah, we live in an era nowadays of remakes. So we had the Crash Bandicoot trilogy remix, we had the Spyro remix, we have, you know, we have the sort of remakes that switch things up, which is like FF7 remake and RE2 and 3 remakes. And I feel like if they were ever going to remake Adventure, it would be in the I would put it to the RE2 remake style, where it's fundamentally the same game, but it is going to be vastly superior in a lot of ways, and vastly fixed, you know, and all of that stuff. So I think that's for sure a possibility. I think, like, I really almost think like that's what you gotta do, you know. I feel like the safe option is to first you remake Adventure 1 and 2, see how people respond to that, what they like about it, you know, and then you build off that to make Adventure 3. And speaking of Adventure 3, this is why I want to bring this up, and this is like a really big point here, and I don't think enough people talked about this. So this interview went up on August 30th, 2020. It's on .esports.com. I don't know which website it has, but let's go into the important point, right? So here it is. Here it is. When you look at all the games that are out now, and knowing the kind of expectations for the next Sonic Adventure game would be, it would make a whole lot of investment for the company, a lot of development time, and a lot of game volume for something to really bring something to market. But that's what I would use the golden keys for, right? This is what I've been saying for a long time, right? That it feels like Sonic Adventure 3 has always been, you know, the golden goose, the hit the eject button, like the big red button, everything's in trouble. Like, it is very clear that the team wants to do it. And them saying, right, that like it's an idea, it's an issue of budget and massive marketing and all that stuff, that tells me that the pivotal success of Frontiers is going to be really important for Sega, because look, we're seeing Sega sort of on a rise. You know, obviously Persona's thriving in the West especially, and in Japan. You have the Yakuza series that's continuing to blow up. They just announced 3 games more for that. You know, you've got what's called obviously Sonic right now with the movies and the shows and all that blowing up. So we're definitely seeing Sega on and up, but I really think Frontiers' success is really pivotal, because he's clearly saying here like they need more resources to nail that, and I think that's gonna come, you know, from Frontier's success, from the sequel's success, or the trilogy's success, whatever happens there. If the team can expand from that, grow from that, and like, you know, they had that interview a few days ago from Tokyo Game Show where they said they want Frontiers to be the game that puts Sonic Team back on the map. I feel like they fundamentally want that first before they, you know, jump into anything else. You know, I think that's gonna be a big one for that. I'm trying to see, you know, again, like there was another interview, this was like back in 2018 where they talked about it. You know, actually no, we talked about this one, but yeah, I was trying to find, what was the one I was trying to find here? Yeah, I haven't really thought about my next game yet, but I would hope all the work we put into Frontiers can be used to make another Sonic Adventure game sometime. Like, that is like, again, like that's a pretty forward statement. You know, it's you don't just say things like that. And again, like I said, I think Izuka has heard this question come time and time again, right? Of like, oh, what's gonna happen with Adventure? Are we gonna get another Adventure game? Like, this is the most asked interview question, just like, you know, where's the Chow Garden and all that stuff. I think we are definitely going to live to see, and I think also like Sonic Movie 2, right? 2024. Maybe that's the time where you enter maybe the side game, or while you're building Frontiers 2 or something, like you gotta have either Adventure 2 or, you know, Sonic Frontiers 2 has Shadow or something in it. I feel like you want maybe that marketing synergy, you know, would be really dope, and I think that would be like important in general for the whole situation. And I don't know, man, I would love to just see the world we live in, and I feel like every day it's getting close. You know, I feel like every day we're getting closer and closer to seeing the Sonic Adventure remakes, whether it's 1 or 2. Obviously I think 2 is definitely the highlight, but you got to do the first one. I feel like the first one is definitely the one that needs the most fixing, especially when you think of all the different characters, campaigns. You know, again, they're simple games fundamentally, but I feel like that's the one you definitely need to fix the most. I just feel like remaking these games, you know, obviously budget aside, nailing it aside, would be fairly easy. I mean, you have the level layouts, you just have to make a few things less frustrating, because a lot about the, you know, the issues of these games are some minor frustrations that can be fixed, you know, like the Knuckles levels, right? Like, make the tracker a bit better. Let me find any emerald piece, you know, whenever I'm near one. Don't put it in order necessarily, right? What's it called? With the fucking some of the Sonic levels later, you know, like the space ones, make things, you know, just fix the controls a bit, make things a bit more clear. Like, it's like, I feel like with Adventure 2 especially, all you'd really have to do is polish it the hell up and just add some features to make things a little easier, and you'd be gold. You know, the music's already there and all that. But Sonic Adventure 1, you definitely have to fix up a lot of the campaigns, and there's, like I said, the rough edges, and maybe add stuff to the open fields, you know, because like learn what you did with Frontiers and add stuff, you know, to the open zones or adventure fields, as Izuka likes to call them. But yeah, it's interesting, right? Because you look at, like I said, Frontiers, where with that game you're seeing an expansion of the Sonic Adventure, the first game, really, like I said, with the big open areas, but except they're more dense, you know, they have stuff to do in them. They're not just waypoints, right? If anything, in this game, the cyberspace levels feel like the sideshow to what is most likely going to be the main show, which is the open zone and the combat and the story and all that stuff. But we are definitely in the right direction. It was just something I noticed, because it feels like the way lately Izuka's talking about Sonic Adventure, it almost feels like they're like saying like, hey, Frontier's success is really important for Adventure. Now, granted, also this is also marketing talk, you know, people are asking him questions, he's just answering them, but also like we know that Adventure is really important to Izuka. You know, he directed those games, but I think those are the first major Sonic games he directed. I could be wrong in that, but I'm pretty sure he said that, and he has said straight up in a recent IGN interview that Sonic Adventure 2 is still for him the best Sonic game. So hopefully, obviously, Frontier stops that. And I think it's very clear that him and the team want to revisit that someday, because you know the fans are going to lose their mind. We're all going to lose it once they do that. So guys, let me know what you think. Am I stretching things out, you know, a little bit? Pause, hold up, that sound wrong, you know what I mean? Let's go. Do you think it's gonna happen? Do you think this is just a case of the general interviews just being answered? Let me know what you think. I definitely think, here's, like, mark my words, bro, after, you know, a potential sequel or two to Frontiers, the adventure remix or whatever that's gonna be is definitely up next. That's sort of my prediction. Let me know what you think, guys. Of course, I love you, and I'll see y'all later. Also, but actually, before I go, I want to actually tell you about this really quick. You know, if you're still here at the end, if you'll have your time with me. So if you go on my profile here on Twitter, I know a lot of you probably follow me on Twitter and stuff. There is HyperX. They are hosting, you know, a big best content creator thing, and you guys could go on the website at queued up right here, and you can vote for your boy. So you can scroll here, you know, scroll, make your little account, and then you can find your boy right here chilling. So if you want to vote for me, you know, support your homie and all that stuff, feel free to do that. Okay, guys, I love you. Thank y'all for watching. Peace out. Woo!